Hello, everyone.
Hi guys.
Today is construction day 37 and an end of another productive work week. So we're looking forward to having a day off again tomorrow. So a couple weekly updates. Uh, we picked out our granite countertops, so we're happy about that. And we will now start building our color theme with backsplash and floor and paint color for the walls, kind of around that choice. So pretty unique granite. I think you saw on the previous video that we shot. It's pure white granite mixed with glass. It's very shiny, very smooth, and Wilma really liked it. So we're glad that we got that. We could check that off the list. The trusses is now being installed, so all the I-beams are in and welded in place. And now the trusses are starting to go up, so that's another good sign. So in today's update, I'm going to show them going up and actually getting welded in place, and those clips that I've been talking about. I'll do my best to show you guys how that's installed. The rough-in for the plumbing is underway. And they're working on that, and I'll give another update. They're making some progress there. We did have a pool delay, and I'm going to do my best to explain that. I'm actually happy that we delayed the pool to either Monday or Tuesday next week. And in the update video today, I'll explain that. We're going to do some more shopping on Sunday. We're going to try to pick out more tile. And one of the viewers said, hey, buy a couple and bring them back to where you're living, because sometimes the light or the lights in the stores differs from the light in your house. And we bought that one tile so far, and yeah, absolutely correct. It does look a little different. So I think there's one or two more choices that were in the maybe column that we're going to go ahead and buy one and bring it back to the townhome. And take a look at it and try to narrow that down. I think we need about 220 pieces for that middle area. So we got to make sure that it's in stock, or if it's not in stock, that it can be ordered. So that's another thing that we have to concern ourselves with. So we're going to do that tomorrow. And then the last thing for today update is the weather. Another work week with no rain. I mean, it rains here at night a little bit, but we went another 6 days without a drop of rain, and this is the rainy season. So could that change quickly? Absolutely. It's been cloudy up here, on and off just about every day. It's been breezy. It has been a little extra hot this week. I guess that's with the the more and more sunshine that we've been seeing. But actually we kind of welcome the clouds a little bit, cools things down. So that's our overall update, and see you guys up at the work site. Okay, so the first truss is going in today. So there's one laying there on its side, but you can see there in the distance there's one standing on end. So it extends out to 2 meters, which coincides with the beam, the 2-meter overhang. And then you can see it's one continuous truss that goes the entire length of the house. So there'll be a truss like this every 1.8 meters throughout the house. And what Felix is doing now, and I'm going to try to zoom in here, they're talking about these clips, how they tie the truss to the house, either through the I-beam or through the rebar that sticks out, or the column rebar that sticks out. So that's 3 different ways that the truss gets attached. So what he's doing is they actually make the clips. So it is 12 millimeter rebar, and it goes around, in this instance, it goes around that I-beam and goes up over top of the truss. and then he's welding it in place. So I'm going to try to get a little closer so you can see it being installed. Okay, so here's another look at it, and I got it on zoom, and sometimes when you zoom in too much it shakes a little bit, so I'm going to try to be as still as I can. But the trusses are attached in this instance to the I-beam with 12 millimeter rebar, and they build basically it looks like a box or a rectangle that goes down under the I-beam, and then it goes up around the truss and on top of the truss, and then it gets welded at all those points. And what that is designed for is obviously if there's any wind that gets up underneath the overhang and starts pushing up on the roof, this holds it secure. So they call it a clip. That's what the locals are calling it, but it's basically a rebar that goes in and around the I-beam as well as the truss. Now there's two other ways that they'll be attaching the trusses to the house, and I'll try to video that as well. So another way the truss is attached to the house is regarding the concrete beams. So as you notice, when they pour the beams, there's rebar, and there's one sticking out there. There's rebar that stick out that has run up the wall through the beam and comes out the top of the beam, the concrete beam. So when a truss lays on top of that beam, they take two of the rebars, and you can see the little there on the left, and then on the right, they bend it down to the truss and weld it in place. And again, that and it's 12 millimeter rebar, and that also holds the truss down on top of the beam securely. And then as I was finishing up that little clip, Felix, who is the welder, told me that not only is there two rebar, as you can see in this photo, I'm trying to get as close as I can, there'll be an additional clip similar to the one used on the I-beam that he will create. So not only does it get two strands of 12 millimeter, there'll be an additional clip of 12 millimeter rebar that he'll bend and weld as well. So today is Saturday, and they were supposed to pour the pool today, and the team here decided to wait until Monday or Tuesday, and let me explain, because I'm actually happy that they did delay this. I was told yesterday that they were getting ready. They were finishing up tying all the rebar down. They got the two tie beams all in. Everything is ready to go for pour. They've been bagging up a lot of sand and gravel at both mixers, because when they pour the floor, they'll have two mixers going at once. And they were sitting down talking about it, and they said, you know, we have plenty of concrete, but it's going to be close with the sand and the gravel. So they made the decision yesterday to say, let's get one more load of sand and bag it up, and one more load of gravel and bag that up and get that up here ready to go, because they do not want to start the pour of this floor and then have to stop. They were pretty adamant, the guys here, that once you start pouring the 6-inch floor, if you run out of material and have to stop at any point, and I call that a cold joint, where they would have to, you know, say the next day start back up. They said they cannot do that. With the floor of the pool, it has to be one continuous pour. So you know, I was happy that they thought that through. So this is going to get delayed, and I think it's a great delay to either Monday or Tuesday. So you know, they plan their work and then they work their plan. So that's a good motto. to live by, and I have absolutely no problems with that. So they just wanted to be sure. They said they thought by their calculations it would be close. But again, they're going to put all hands on deck. There's going to be 2 mixers going at once, 2 teams of guys bringing the cement down to this area, and they want to get it all done in one shot. I'm not sure how many hours that'll take. I'm sure it'll take most of the day, but they did not want to have not enough material. So I appreciate the guys being honest with that, and again, they planned their work yesterday, and then next week they'll work their plan, and we'll get a better product because of it. So I think that's great that they did that. So a little more progress in the carport area. They did dig out the 2 footings here, or the first 2 footings. You can see they got the large rock down in the footing, as well as the rebar. So now they're building the 2 columns for this, and then they'll be pouring the footing. So a little bit of movement on the carport. So more rough in progress. You can see that they have that large 4-inch pipe going into chamber 1. Now the top of this septic is at the floor height of the house. So the drop down to the septic, I don't know the exact measurement, but I'm going to guess at 20 inches down. Could be a little more. But that is the drop. And the most of the plumbing is here in this back corner. So this is the master, and then the kitchen is right there. So we designed that to have, all the exhaust water to come as close to the septic as possible. The only long run is the spare bathroom, which is on the other side of the house. But everything else, the dirty kitchen, the sink for the kitchen itself, the main kitchen, and then the shower, the urinal, the toilet for the master. Everything is in this back corner or in the middle of the house. So we tried to have the shortest distance to the septic as possible. So you can see they're still making progress. They got through those stones yesterday. We're back up today with electricity. And that actually was a comment: how often do we have brownouts? And we're 36 days into construction, and 7 days of excavation and 2 days of land clearing. So that's knocking on 50 days, and we had 2 brownouts. One was scheduled because they were doing some trimming of the trees down a little bit further south of here, and yesterday was the first actual brownout. So that's not bad. Almost 50 days and only 1 unscheduled brownout. So I think the power up here is pretty stable. We will have a generator, and we will also look into solar. I don't think our budget is going to allow for solar now, but we're going to look into it and just see, because that initial investment is quite large. But at least we'll have a generator, and then we're going to talk about how is that going to be connected into the electrical, and will it come on automatically or not? Will it be a gasoline generator or diesel? I think we're leaning towards diesel. So there's still some discussions to be had, but that was a question. Yes, we will have a generator. All right, so here's the first look at the where the panels will go. So this is in the back of the house, next to the 1 meter door going out to the dirty kitchen, and the electric from the main pole will come into these 2 panels. We got 1 small panel here, and then a larger one right next to it. And let me explain what our thought process is. So here's the 2 panels. The main panel and then a smaller panel. So you might say, why? So the thought process is, I'm thinking about the future going to solar. So I want to run the 4 air cons which everyone knows having large air cons run off of solar is a challenge. So I'm going to have the line come in and have a separate line for the 4 split air cons going to this box. So there'll be 4 breakers, and the lines for the 4 air cons will go to this box. And then the rest of the house will go to this panel. And then the thought process is, if we do go switch at some point, we would only have to connect this panel to the solar system, and this would stay hardwired to the grid. So if we lose power, from the main line, from the grid, then we would lose electricity to the air cons if we switch over to solar. But we could use fans or whatever, that'll be fine. So again, the thought process is all the electric needs for the house, the lights, the refrigerators, the water pump coming in, the pressure tank, that motor, the motor for the pool pump, all going to this panel and potentially someday running exclusively on solar. And then this panel exclusively tied to the grid for the air cons. So that's the reason for 2 panels. And I'm curious if there's any electricians out there, what you guys think about that setup. All right, we made another executive decision today, and it's regarding the electrical line running into the property. So I'm standing here on the east side next to the wall. This is where the electrical will run in. So I'll zoom. You can see that large electrical pole. That's where our transformer will be. And we will run conduit from that pole under the right-of-way and all the way up this fence line. So our electrical will run all the way up, to this area. And then what typically they do is they run some kind of a conduit. And I'm not sure if they just run it on the outside of the house after it's rendered and painted, or they actually dig into the concrete and get all the way up into the attic area. But they run the main line up the wall into the attic, and then across and then down into the electrical panel. So I'm going to take a walk inside, and I'll show you what our plan is. All right, so here's an example of the electrical conduit. It's 1 inch, and then the wire leading in from that main pole will snake through this conduit. So what we're going to do is we punched a hole here in the rough end of the plumbing, and this is the spare room right on the other side of the wall where I was just a minute ago. So instead of going up into the attic and then all the way across the attic with electrical, we're going to just come through the hole that's already there and run conduit along the plumbing in the ground all the way to where the panel is going to be. So then our electrical will run basically underground all the way up from the pole. And instead of going up into the attic area and coming down to the panel, it'll run in this trench over and up to the panel. So we figure that would be better. And again, for any electricians out there, let me know what you think about that latest decision that we just made today. So one quick correction, I said that the electrical coming into the house will follow this conduit. This is the actual conduit that's used to go to the outlets from the panel, not from the main. So this is the flexible type. What will be used from all the way down from the electrical pole all the way in to the panel will be 1 inch PVC. So there's 2 inch, this is 4 inch, and the electrical that'll come in again from the pole all the way in through the plumbing rough in to the panel will be 1 inch PVC and not this flexible type. So that's a correction. right, so I'll try to get a few angles here. So it might be a few short clips. But the 4 trusses are now in place for the main living area. So again, they're 1.8 meters apart, and all 4 of them are in place. Now they're not all welded and clipped yet, but they're all stood up and in place. And Felix is now going and welding them to these I-beams. So I tried to get up on a ladder, but the ladders here are made for people much lighter than me, so I didn't take the chance. But give one last look of what they call the clip, which is basically just 12 millimeter rebar that goes up and around the truss and down and around the I-beam, that holds everything together. So again, if there's any high winds, this will prevent those trusses, hopefully, from lifting up and losing the roof. Now, we went with a shed-type roof with this modern bungalow-style house. So the reveal of the roof is very small anyway, and that's by design. 1, for the style of the house, but 2, because of the possibility of typhoons. It's a flat-type, shed-type roof that tapers backwards. So that should, by definition, help with any high winds. But I believe these clips will go a long way to hold the roof down to the house. And these will all be painted as well. Once all the clips are in place, they will be painted to prevent rusting.